coronavirus impact, the craze with the toilet paper, with the hand sanitizer? What's some other things you guys have been noticing about, even in the early instances of coronavirus? Like, what was some of the big shocks for you guys?
Personally, me, I went to the toilet paper section.
Yeah.
And it was just like exactly like on the news, how they were talking about it. But other than that, I haven't noticed anything because I just go straight for the veggies, the fresh stuff. I am not bothered by the rest of the things. But I got a friend who works at Coles distribution center, and he told me basically all the dry stuff, like the canned foods, the pastas, spaghettis, all these things, they just like running. People are demanding it. Yeah, really high. The demand's really high. But other than that, I haven't noticed anything else.
What about you, Russ?
Yeah, I think there is a panic buying going on from seeing social media and other friends that have gone out. And I don't blame anyone. It's sort of a herd mentality and everyone's stocking up because people
I think that's it. It's people are just, I see that guy panicking or that lady panicking and shit, maybe I've got to do the same rather than like, oh, they're idiots,
Absolutely, yeah. Did you see that on social media, on Facebook, there was an argument and a physical fight between ladies over
three ladies.
I mean, I don't know the real origin. It could have been about the toilet paper or something. Maybe people are
it was definitely, because I saw there was a toilet paper, like a pack on the floor, and the lady said she wanted one. And the other one, they had like heaps on what do you call it, on a trolley.
Yeah.
That was unbelievable.
That's probably the biggest thing was like, I didn't buy into it. Maybe it's different because we're sort of young men, I don't know what it's like for, they say people are after 80, but the funny thing is no one over 80 is panicking. They're just going about their life, but they go to the shops and they can't buy anything, which is most of the pictures I've been seeing is some elderly people going to the shops trying to get some toilet paper and there's nothing there and they're getting quite, upset about it, that it's affecting they just want to go day-to-day life,
I think people that are stocking up on soap and hand sanitizer are forgetting that it's not just your hands, it's other people. Other people need to wash their hands too. So other people will be shaking your hand, so we got to be a bit careful and think about others.
Stock for toilet paper is skyrocketed. People are buying stock for it, and like one of my mates was telling me about a different business venture about a different type of Skype. I can't remember what it was called, but he said people are investing in that because people are going to stop coming into work and do all of their face-to-face over, this type of stuff. Like, I can't believe it, even sports. Like, tonight, the NBL final is playing with no crowd.
Wow.
Yeah. I was about to buy tickets to it last week. Like, that's how, unfast I was.
No one's risking that.
Yeah. So, what about you? Did you have any plans to go traveling or anything? Travel bans and stuff?
I was actually thinking of traveling within this month, within these few weeks, but I cancelled it not because of the coronavirus issue, but it just seems like it's not the right time for me because it seems like I'm trying to rush things. So I thought I'd just take my time and do it when I'm ready, like when everything's right, But other than that, it never crossed my mind. I'm not really concerned.
I didn't have any travel bans, but from what I've seen, America's got a 30-day travel ban, and most of the European countries are banned from flying into the US. And
in Europe as well, I think.
And Europe as well. The F1 Grand Prix has been cancelled. Flight Centre had to close 100 of their centres. And a lot of companies have been affected. So this is a big thing. You look at Wall Street, it plummeted. The Australian stock market went down by $100 billion. So now you're finding, the governments are stepping in to bail or have stimulus packages. Like, I think the US Federal Reserve had $1.3 trillion that they injected, which stabilized the stock market for a couple of hours, and then it crashed after. Obviously, Scott Morrison from Australia, he put $2.6 billion dedicated to the coronavirus, having a hotline, having additional staff and all these stuff, masks and all that, and then on top of that a $17.6 billion stimulus package, which equates to about $750 per person who's on, people who are in disabilities or on Centrelink or that sort of thing. And they've promised, I think, for about $25,000 for small to medium businesses. So it seems they're trying to do their best to keep things stable. I think about $1 billion was dedicated to rural areas that are affected. And some places are in complete lockdown. And New York, like there's some suburbs. Italy was over 1,000 deaths in Italy. It's crazy.
I think two of the craziest things that I've seen or experienced in the last week was, one, a guy not wanting to shake my hand because of the coronavirus. I was like, all right, no worries. Like, I didn't take offense to it, but it was just weird. Like, he was like, come on, can't take too many chances these days, and I was like, oh, fair enough, whatever. And the second thing was, it was my workplace was just full of hand sanitizer, and it was almost a ghost town because people have probably taken off sick. What happens when F school closes? You're going to have all these parents going to have to take leave, So I'm still tossing up. Is this just an over panic, or is this going to be something that's going to last a while? I've heard people say that where it's going to have a high point and then it's going to die off after that, and we should be fine by a couple of months. But I don't know. What do you guys think?
Oh man, I think a lot of it's just panic. People are panicking. Like for instance, with the toilet paper thing, I think they're just buying it because they're afraid that if they don't buy it now, they're not gonna find it for the next few weeks or months. So I think that's the reason. It's just like what do you call it? Anyway, we skip that. We'll skip that analogy.
So you find that coronavirus it's I guess a new strain. They call it novel coronavirus, COVID-19. But there's many different types of coronavirus. Like SARS that they had, MERS, which was the Middle Eastern respiratory syndrome. You had SARS, which was the South Asian respiratory syndrome. And these are all types of coronavirus. But this is a new one that was discovered. And the reason why they call it corona, because the shape, it looks like crowns on top of the, I guess the virus.
The cell.
The cell, So, it's just another name. There's been many virus outbreaks that have happened in the past. If you look, you had H1N1, you had the swine flu, you had H5N1. There's so many different ones that have come out.
Yeah, I was saying this last time that it's been actually in order of every single US presidential election that there's been some sort of big outbreak of some sort of flu or virus or fever or whatever. Is it one of those things that is it man-made? Is it something that is getting our eyes to look at something else, or is it just?
I mean, some people say it's a conspiracy, but whenever there is an outbreak of war or viruses or pandemics, the population's in fear. When the population's in fear, the IQ of people drop because it goes into the reptilian brain, flight, fight or freeze mode. You go into the panic mode, stocking up, and it's a way of
doomsday preppers.
You got doomsday preppers, and people be more loyal, and they're not going to be having uprising. Maybe there's a positive out of this, that medical systems are being questioned and funding is being more directed to areas which need to be accounted for. So I think there might be some positives, and people are coming together around the world. There's more unity. People are not fighting as much. I mean, maybe over toilet paper, but in general, people are now trying to work together. Countries are trying to communicate and have. So there might be some positive to come out of that. Yes, some people have been sacrificed, unfortunately, of thousands of deaths. But maybe this will address.
I haven't been hearing too much about what's going on in China. Like, obviously, they have a lot of, they don't have the social media aspect where people can tell us what's going on. Like Italy, they've had a few updates on Italy about all the deaths and stuff, but literally 2 places who have been affected probably the most, which is China and Korea. I haven't heard much. Like I've seen sort of stats, but I haven't heard like what it looks like. You know, people going to work. Are people? Is it a ghost town? I'd be curious to see how that is. I haven't. The only thing I did hear was apparently that the air was a lot fresher than it normally is. You know how they always have that sort of cloud of because of all the pollution.
Yeah.
You know, I've heard that it's actually cleared up a bit because because the factories have closed down, because obviously no one's accepting anything from China at this point.
Sure.
So, you know, small wins, silver lining.
So what do you guys think about? Apparently, the source of the virus came from someone interacting with a bat or some animal.
Yeah.
What do you think can be done to prevent such things happening? Should we not be eating certain animals? Like apparently in China and some Asian countries, they eat all types of animals, from dogs, cats, tarantulas. Do you think going forward, you know, some animals and insects should not be eaten? Could that be, or what do you think?
I definitely think so. Like stopping people who have been doing this or desperate to make money and I think it's going to be nearly impossible unless they police it somehow. But you know, that's just my, I guess, Western way of thinking, that, you know, sort of stick to the animals that we know are moderately safe, I guess. But yeah, bats I thought was a no-brainer. Dogs and cats, no-brainer. I don't know, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree, man. Like, there's some animals that we should not be eating because just due to their nature and what they eat, where they live, you know. But this whole thing, the whole virus coming from animals, I don't know about that, because we live in an age where you know, a lot of the foods that we have are genetically modified. So I'm not surprised to hear that, you know, this virus is genetically modified virus. You know what I mean? Like, it could be anything, man. It's very hard to believe anyone these days. It's very hard to believe the media. It's very hard. Like, that's for my own experience. So I don't take everything 100% for a fact. There's a possibility it could be coming from that. It might not be.
That's how it's almost become, is you gotta question everything now. Like, you can't believe the media, you can't believe politicians. Like, you gotta always question it. Like, and it's sad that it's come to that point. Like, I think if you believe everything for fact that what people are saying, then you're just gonna miss, you know, how many times do we see things in the media that, you know, stereotyping people or putting situations in a different light, and then you find out later on that it's just not the case. So I think me personally, I love a good conspiracy theory, so I'm guessing it's a man-made thing that was put in place to, you know, for whatever population control, for, I don't believe in the whole bat thing. Didn't they say that AIDS was created because a guy had sex with a monkey? Like, come on. And what about you guys? What do you think? Our main guy, Jack, why isn't he not here today? Could it be coronavirus?
Oh, you never know. Maybe he's getting diagnosed, and, you know, or maybe he's been diagnosed, so he doesn't want to tell us the truth.
I heard he's in lockdown and he's trying to isolate himself and he doesn't want to get exposed to anything, and you know, he's just become a bit paranoid.
Lockdown from the missus or lockdown from the doctors?
I think both, mate. They just had a housewarming party and moved into a new place. So
just shout out to Jack if it's coronavirus or not. You know, we're missing you, mate, and hope you get well, or we see you at the next one. So I also heard that the coronavirus was actually people in China and Wuhan and that already knew about it, but the Chinese New Year was coming up and they didn't want to just, you know, have the public in fear when one of their biggest celebrations, you know, like, I guess to us, you know, could be Christmas, New Year's, Easter, whatever, so their biggest celebration, and I guess they put the clamps on it so that they could celebrate it. And unfortunately, they probably could have secured it instead of spreading it. You know, they could have had it in a secure location, maybe Wuhan, wherever it actually started. I don't know. where did it start exactly?
Wuhan.
Wuhan.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, you're not far off it. There, it makes a lot of sense. Like a country as big as China with its industrial economy, like like seeing what this thing does, what it's capable of, man. Like I'm sure they did not want anything to affect the economy at all. It makes a lot of sense, But another thing I actually came across, someone sent me a link, and it's actually this person who was in a government, and he's talking about how he's been in secret projects and things like that, and so he's telling people actually about the reality of this virus and what it is. And he spoke about how this is actually a man-made thing, and actually it's had something to do with what was going on in Hong Kong in the protests. So the government was requesting that they make some sort of virus that will affect the people in a way that it will make them lose interest, and not to affect them to this degree, not to kill them obviously, but just to distract them and to make them mentally incompetent.
That's what I was saying about before with America. Is that every time, like you said before, when there's some sort of big outbreak of disease or a war or something, people lose their IQ. So if you look at the facts that they never re-elect a new president because they want to stay safe, and it's a perfect opportunity for a president to jump on the front foot and say, this is what we're going to do, and crowd love it.
Exactly.
And how does an outbreak just happen to happen every 4 years just about, and it's like we just forget about them. Like people forget about swine flu. Was it like a Zika virus or something?
Zika virus.
Ebola like 3 times.
It's crazy, man. So man, it's supposed to make him retarded and things like that, but it went out of control, and there was eventually testing it. So
well, it's worked. I haven't heard about Hong Kong protests. It was everywhere at one point, and now it's gone.
Oh, people are afraid now. People are going to be afraid.
What about climate change?
Wow.
No one's talked about climate change in a minute, and then suddenly we're all about
I think we just cracked it, man. We cracked it.
I seen a video the other day that said, climate change, you should hire coronavirus spokespeople for your next gig, because look at the fear it's caused, where climate change has just caused no fear within people. People just go about their lives like, oh, well, it's not going to affect me. Act like we're all not going to have kids, or we're not going to have nephews and nieces that have to walk on this earth, So whether it's something that's going to happen or not, shouldn't we at least try to make the world a little bit better place?
I don't think it's a conspiracy, because sooner or later, now you see like Scott Dutton, from Australia, he's got it, and many other politicians have got it. So I think if someone does intentionally want to harm people, that might do it through a different way, because eventually it might come back to if the Chinese government did it, let's say, it would come back to them, because someone would get infected in their family, or I don't think anyone would do that. Maybe there are organisations and agencies that would be testing these sort of things.
It could be quite a coincidence. It could be a massive coincidence. We don't know.
It could be anything, man.
Crazy.
It could be anything. But if you look at people's hygiene, like I work in construction, and I hardly see people use soap. I hardly see them wash their hands, and if they do, it's just like a little bit. So
tell me about tradies,
this is now brought to the limelight. People's hygiene is very poor.
Common sense things. We need to wash our hands more. You should be washing your hands anyway.
No, that's right.
Whatever. Wash your hands.
Not just that. I mean, what if we got no more toilet paper? What do we do then? We're gonna have to wash our asses. Excuse me for the word, but that's one thing we need to discuss. Like, what would you guys do if there's no toilet paper?
I'm going with the leaves, or I'm doing what. Is it the Indians do with the water up your ass or whatever? I don't know, man. As long as I'm not walking around with a shitty ass. There's heaps of ways. I think, we were talking about last time, Japanese toilets and stuff.
There's a company called Toto.
Not to be confused with Toto from last week.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they actually make specific things that you can put onto your toilet, and it connects to the water, and you can change the temperature, pressure, angle, and it can clean your there's also bidet, the hose that you can use, which they use in the Middle East a lot.
I mean, that's nothing
Asians.
new. I mean,
it's
there's
nothing new. People have been doing it for a long time, and I think water is the most hygienic thing to use.
If you're the business people for one of these companies, you should be investing in ads and getting this out there, because you're never gonna have a more prime time to sell something alternative to toilet paper, because we've got no toilet paper.
Well, if you think it's not very good for the environment, is it? You're just having so much paper when you can just use water.
Yeah, and it will just recycle, I guess.
You know what? People just can't get their heads around the fact that they have to use water. Like, I don't get it. Seriously, like, it's common sense. I was reading on a comment, someone was selling one of those squirt thing that that shoots water up your bum. So one person goes, "This is on the comments I'm reading. It's unhygienic," and another person's like, "This is polluting the water. You shouldn't have any water there. You should just be shooting your crap in there." And I'm like, man, what happened to common sense, man?
This is the biggest thing. Maybe it's the fear the IQs go, or maybe we've just never had IQs to begin with, high IQs, because people are just losing the plot. Like, wash your hands. Look at alternative methods. Maybe this is a good thing for climate change.
Oh, I got another solution.
What's that?
Just go vegan. You know what I mean? Like your crap is gonna come out clean, non-smelly.
And then we'll stop eating dogs and bats and all that stuff.
Exactly.
Maybe this is it. We stop using paper.
Yep.
Stop eating meat. And
just eat clean, and you won't be afraid to, clean your faces with your own hands.
and
oh man.
I think like we said before, I think the only thing that's been good that's come out of that, besides probably these things that might, make a environmental change, has got to be just done. Getting the old coronavirus. Does he have to go to Christmas Island like the rest of the
not sure, man.
guys?
I think that would make sense. They should take him there. That would be fair.
You got to practice what you preach.
Yeah, that's so true.
Hopefully Pauline gets it too, and they can have a nice holiday period over there, celebrate. Well, what do we got coming up? Easter? They can celebrate Easter.
I think the people benefited on this is the people went on the cruises, that Princess Cruise.
Yeah.
All they needed to do is you pay for 1 week and you get an extra week off in quarantine.
But I don't think they were happy. They were not looking forward to the extra week. So that was like being detained against their own will.
Paid holiday.
What about, we all watch sports here. What is it gonna feel different watching sports with no crowds? Or is it no difference?
And I'm not a sports person, like a TV person.
No. Do you go to sporting events?
Not at all, man. No.
Russell?
I think it makes a difference because the crowd brings this positive energy and vibe. You can hear the roar of the crowd. You see the Mexican wave.
I think teams win off crowds. I think the home advantages are massive because of the crowd.
Absolutely, it's a different feel.
I think that it's going to come down to the best teams are going to win now. It's not going to be what do they call it, like the 23rd man or the whatever the 13th man, where the crowd plays that role of being an extra advantage. So, but you know what? I'd rather watch events with no crowd than not have an event. I think it's a few events have been cancelled, and it's very sad to hear. But I guess they probably won't make the same money without. They need the crowds there, so there's no point in having the event.
Do you think they should just stop playing all games for the next 2 weeks?
They're saying that they could cancel the first month of. So NRL started this weekend.
Yeah.
AFL starts next weekend.
Yeah.
And there's a few crossing over of different sports like A-League and all that. So maybe they'll have to. If it's going to be the best thing, then so be it. But man, it's going to be boring not watching anything on TV. Just a Friday night and Saturday night. I like to watch my sport. Sit down and watch something where I can just have do my own thing.
I think it's a very responsible thing to shut down everything, ban all travel, shut down all sports, and even there's companies like Apple that are encouraging their employees to stay home for a week. Companies like Inpex, which are an oil and gas company, recommending their employees work from home.
Are they still going to pay us if they send us all home?
Well, yeah, you work from home, I guess, but I think that's a great idea because it's preventing the transmission. Because guaranteed, someone throughout the day will shake someone's hand or touch a doorknob and then rub their eye, their nose, their mouth, and that are the entrance ways to the respiratory system. So through your tear ducts, through your nose, through your mouth, and most of us throughout the day will, you rub your nose or.
That's probably one of the biggest things I've been hearing is people saying, "Man, I haven't realised how much I touch my face in the day.
Yes.
I've never noticed how much I do it." So with the handshake not going to, probably going to end up being non-existent one day, which is a part of Australian culture.
Yeah.
What's the new handshake going to be, guys?
Elbows and feet.
Feet.
Well, if you look at the Muslims and the Middle Eastern people, often they just put their hand on their heart and they just sort of do a little bow and a shake.
Well, as people of colour, we got the whole handshakes going on. We got the handshake and the hugs. It's going to be something that's probably going to affect us more than anyone.
Yeah, that's so true.
I don't know, because you can say knuckles, but how often do you use the back of your hand to wipe your face or something?
Maybe it's just safer the foot. That's
foot?
it. Yeah.
I reckon the elbow might be a go. I don't mind that one. But so we've solved a few things tonight, I think.
I wouldn't mind the karate one or the Japanese one.
Just one more thing, with the sanitizer, the hand sanitizer, they reckon it's good, it breaks down the bacteria or whatever, but you still need running water to wash it off your hand. So you still should, obviously don't take medical advice from us, but see your healthcare professional. But that's what they reckon. So you still.
Because at work at the moment they got them everywhere, but not near the water basins.
Yeah, so I would recommend that.
But how funny is it now when you see someone cough? How everyone just looks at that person.
I know.
It could be. What if it's a smoker's
on the bus,
cough, or
I've
seen it like in the workplace where someone's coughed and everyone's just like.
Imagine it. 200 or 300 people on an aeroplane sharing the same air. And one person coughs, it just.
I was supposed to fly back to Darwin this weekend actually. And lucky, I was sort of looking at booking flights when the outbreak was, and I was like, at first I was like, let's see if the flights go down cheaper first. And then they are very cheap, but I just think it's not worth it.
It's not worth it,
I just think
the thing is, it spreads very easily. Like, the World Health Organization declared it a pandemic. And from when you go back to physics and chemistry, that if there's a gas, it occupies the whole room. It doesn't just stay in one area. It's just going to continue to go everywhere. So how do you contain that?
So
that's the question.
Besides, obviously, this amazing show that we have going on, how shit has 2020 been? We lost Kobe Bryant a month ago. What else?
Australian bushfires.
Well, we're not even talking. No one's even talking about that anymore. It's just been a crap year. Let's hope that the back end of the year picks up.
Now we might not have another global financial crisis. So people are panicking for their jobs. I have a lot of colleagues worrying about this superannuation. I've got colleagues that are 60 years old, close to retirement, and worrying, half my money is gone. What do you do?
But probably in the lighter note is that we're probably on the brink of a war at one point. So I think that's put that in the back.
Which one? Iran and America?
I think that's like people are more worried about this. That I haven't heard anything. Korea is one of those places that are getting hit very hard right now. So, and I think I would not be surprised if America gets a big outbreak of coronavirus soon as well. All right, guys.